Hello and welcome back to the Acca Backer here on the Racing Post YouTube channel. Thank you so much for tuning in once again. This is the show where we bring our top tipsters on to try and pick a winning football accumulator for you. We say that every week and often it doesn't win, but we are coming to you off the back of a winning accumulator. We've got Liam, we've got Mark here who tipped up the winning fourfold last week. That was very pleasurable indeed, and hopefully you guys can do the same again. Liam, first of all, how happy were you that you were brought in as a super sub for Childsy? He's gone. We haven't seen him since. I don't know what's happened to him. I mean, yeah, I mean it's unbelievable. You're in. Feeling confident?
Yeah, absolutely. It was a good one last week, wasn't it? I mean, Fleetwood left it a bit late, but Atalanta couldn't have been more convincing in terms of my two fourfold picks. So yeah, very good.
Yeah, I quite like it when a team leaves it late and then goes on to win. There's something a bit more pleasurable about that.
Yeah, I prefer the 7-1s to be honest. Yeah, I like, you know, at half time think, right, this is a bit like PSG against Marseille, right, this is done at half time, you know. So the late loser is always a lot worse.
Yeah.
They're the sickeners that ruin the weekend. So hopefully none of them.
Ruined my midweek. I had Oxford to beat Sunderland. Well, in 90 minutes. Anyway, we won't talk about that because that'll bring me down again. Liam, let's get your first tip of the week.
Yeah, we're going to start in the Bundesliga with Leipzig to beat Mainz. Leipzig lost at Freiburg in the Bundesliga last time out, and that's no disgrace given how the Baden-Württemberg team have been playing recently, but they followed it up by absolutely destroying Wolfsburg 6-1 in the German Cup. This is a Wolfsburg team who are unbeaten in the Bundesliga this season. They're only 4 points off top spot, some great attacking players in that team. We all know about Timo Werner, Yusuf Poulsen, his striking partner, and I'm a really big fan of the attacking midfielder Marcel Sabitzer. Mainz, meanwhile, they've been without their top scorer this season, Jean-Philippe Mateta, who's a key to them, scored bagful of goals last season in the Bundesliga. I know Tottenham are interested in him, and there's actually been a little bit of a dressing room rift, I think, between him and the rest of the team. Something to do with him, very odd story, but to do with him playing his music too loudly, and it's music that the other players don't particularly like, or something along those lines.
A modern day dressing room.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's issues with their key player, if you like. He obviously haven't played this season because of injury, and they've only won 3 league games this term. So I think, yeah, Leipzig to beat Mainz to start it off.
Good stuff. Mark, what's your first tip?
I'm going to go Craven Cottage, Fulham to beat Hull. Fulham, the only team in the Championship that's averaging over 5 shots on target per game, so they're top of one of the sort of real key performance indicators. They only drew last week at Middlesbrough, Fulham, but they were reduced to 10 men in the first half, had the goalkeeper sent off. They still had the better of that game. Mitrovic maybe could have won it for them, but he is the Championship's top goal scorer. I don't think there's any real surprise there. He's somebody that, you know, should be playing in the Premier League and ordinarily would be. They've got a lot of attacking quality, and in midfield the likes of Tom Kearney. Hull, Bowen's a big threat for them, no doubt about that, coming off that right flank, and you know, he's another one that probably could be playing in the Premier League, you know, right now, but he absolutely loves it at Hull. But I think the key difference here is that Fulham have got more of that type of player, and Hull are pretty reliant on him and Grosicki on the other wing. And you know, McGuinness, the influential forward, maybe doesn't score as many goals as what you'd like, but he holds the ball up quite well, and you know, he's done well for Northern Ireland. He's out suspended at the moment, so Tom Eaves has to play up front for Hull, and you know, I think he's found his level, that step up to the Championship, a little bit too much. So I think Fulham have just got the greater firepower and should win at home.
Yeah, I love the sound of Fulham, but Liam, I watched a lot of Jared Bowen last season, and this season in particular. I was kind of baffled as to why he didn't leave Hull. He seems a much better player than that.
Yeah, no, it was definitely one of those talking points of the summer where you thought, well, why hasn't he stayed? He definitely could have made a step up. Great forward player, but yeah, no, clearly didn't want to. Very happy at Hull.
Indeed. Well, some people are happy in Hull. Fulham go in the Acca Backer. Liam, what's your second tip, mate?
Yeah, so in the EFL, going to go Swindon to beat Walsall. Swindon impressed with good results of late. They thumped Crawley 4-0 last time out, and that was after a 1-0 win over Stevenage as well. They're only 3 points off leaders Crewe. It's quite congested towards the top of the league at the moment. Owen Doyle has just been absolutely sensational this season. 13 league strikes, scored a hat-trick last time out. Very different story for Walsall. They're on a run of 5 successive losses in all competitions. They haven't really shown signs of turning it around either in terms of performances. Darryl Clark has been very critical of his players, maybe even too much so. I know he came out in an interview earlier this week saying if they don't shape up, then they should be stacking shelves in a supermarket. it. So very critical of his team, and that's never good when you're on a losing streak. You kind of need a slight element of positivity from your manager, and they don't have that at the moment. So it's not a good feeling around the club. 4 wins in 16 league games this season, something worth opposing against Swindon.
I keep hearing about Swindon at the moment, Mark. What is it about them?
I think that I saw them the other week against Plymouth in a 1-1 draw that was a fair result. I think they're two very good teams. I mean, they've got Yates and Doyle up front, which is really high quality at this level. The problem they've got long term is that both of those have got release clauses in January. They're only on loan. It's going to be a very nervous time, particularly for Doyle, who's on loan from Bradford, one of Swindon's main promotion rivals. I mean, you'd be madness to let him stay there. I think Richie Wellens, I liked him as a player, I like him as a manager. He's very aggressive in terms of pressing and winning the ball back, and Grant in midfield does a lot of the dirty work for them as well. So I know Wellens said that Zaki Fryers' return at left back, he's somebody that's played at a much higher level, is behind the catalyst for the really improved performance last week at Crawley. Yeah,
Swindon a popular pick in the Acca Backer series so far, and Liam puts him in this week. Mark, what's your second tip?
A shorter price one.
We don't mind that.
No, I'm playing it pretty safe, but Barcelona to win away at Levante. In terms of the sort of head-to-head here, I mean, Barcelona have scored 20 goals on the last 5 La Liga visits to Levante. You look at Barcelona 1-7 in a row now. There's only one reason for it, and it's the return of Lionel Messi. He missed the start of the season. Since he's come back, he started 6 games. They've won all 6 games. He was just unplayable against Valladolid on Tuesday. Scored 2, assisted 2 of the 5 goals, ruined the defender's career with a nutmeg that went absolutely viral, and then also scored his 50th career free kick. I mean, some people don't get to 50 career goals. He's got 50 free kicks. Barcelona are just a completely different team when he plays, which is understandable. Also, Griezmann was rested. Ansu Fati, the young teenager, came in. Didn't have his best game. I think with Griezmann, Suarez and Messi, that should be enough to get the job done.
Liam, Mark mentioned there about Messi's 50 free kicks. I didn't realise he'd scored quite so many, but they're just unbelievable. I don't see anyone take free kicks quite like him.
No, it's incredible. He always just has that capacity to make a crowd, stand on their feet. I know the game against Betis last season, that goal he scored, you had the home Betis fans all on their feet applauding him, and you don't get that with any other player. It's just remarkable.
He scores the same free kick sort of all the time. That one on the right-hand side of the box that he curls over the wall with his left foot. The goalkeeper knows it's coming, but just can't get it out of the top corner.
Yeah, nearly as good as a Mario Vrancic free kick. That fourfold returns about 9-2 this week, so please do shop around for your best price. Good luck if you're backing that. If you're feeling slightly braver, let's get into the chaps' wildcards, and you can turn that into a 6-fold accumulator. Liam, what's your wildcard this week?
Yeah, so I'm going to go with Oxford to beat Portsmouth. And Cameron Brannigan, his absence is a blow for Oxford, I'll admit that, but I think they're still attempting bet at a big price. They played Portsmouth earlier in October in the EFL Trophy, and they lost on penalties on that occasion, but they should have won the game really in all time. They had won the shot count 25-10, had 12 shots on target and 59% possession. So they completely ran the show in that game. They should also be brimming with confidence. I mean, they've just got through to the quarterfinals of the League Cup as well. They've won their last 3 matches in the league. And you look at Portsmouth, they just, every time you think this season that they might just turn it around, they might start clicking to gear, they just fall away again. They've been struggling with just 1 win in their last 4 league games against quite lowly opposition really, Gillingham, Wimbledon, Lincoln and Bristol Rovers. So against a team like Oxford who are on the up, I think they could struggle.
Good stuff. Mark, we talked about in the postcast, you can go and watch that on the YouTube channel, about teams and fans really getting on the back of managers, and I think that's something that's happening at Portsmouth right now.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. I've backed Portsmouth to win that division, so I mean, I'm thinking of going down to Fratton and having a go at Kenny Jackett myself, to be honest. They just thrown away too many points against sort of very average teams. I mean, looked like they dominated last week against Bristol Rovers. I tipped them in the Racing Post on draw no bet and got the money back, but they were 2-0 up with 12 minutes to go, and they've not managed to win that game. They dominated against Wimbledon, lost that one 1-0. It won't take much, I don't think, much more for the fans to turn. If you're listening, Pompey owner, just go and get Daniel Stendel. He's been let go by Barnsley, knows the division, he'll get you up.
Well, I'm sure he is watching, Mark, so maybe he is listening. What's your wildcard pick?
It's Birmingham to win against Cardiff away from home. Now, this is traditionally quite a feisty affair, I think, between two sets of fans that maybe don't like each other. So not quite a derby, but it'll be a good atmosphere. And talking of derbies, Cardiff come into this game on the loss of a derby against Swansea. And I always think that it's difficult for a team to raise themselves when you lose the biggest game of the season. It hasn't quite happened for Neil Warnock's team this year. I mean, so many teams suffer after relegation from the Premier League. Just takes you too long to get your team sorted out. They don't look quite as strong as they did when they came up a couple of seasons ago. And Birmingham, a team I had a big negative about in pre-season. I don't mind admitting that, but they've won 3 of their last 4. The defeat at Leeds actually played really well at Ellen Road. They sort of went toe-to-toe with them at times, and not many do that against Leeds. So if Birmingham can play to the similar levels what we've seen in recent weeks, Jude Bellingham looks an absolute superstar, the teenager that, I mean, he'll leave Birmingham whenever he wants to leave Birmingham. He's a Birmingham fan, but hopefully the Blue Noses get a couple more years following him, because he's a Premier League player in waiting, and that could be the difference in quality between the two teams.
Definitely. Really like the sound of that 6-0 this week. Gents, thanks very much. Hopefully you backed the winning accumulator last week in last week's episode of the Acca Backer. Hopefully you back it this week as well. Thanks to Liam, thanks to Mark. All of their Twitter details will be down in the description below, so you can go and check them out. We'll see you again next week for another episode of the Acca Backer. Good luck with the bets, and we'll see you very soon. Bye-bye.